What is going on, friends? This is Matt Carter, that YouTube realtor, and today I'm going to be talking about a topic that maybe a lot of you buyers are facing in the market, and it's why your offer is not getting accepted. So I'm going to go through some of the things that you can do on your level to increase your odds at getting a place. I know a lot of people feel like they're spinning their tires. They're not getting anywhere with any of their offers. They're seeing, dozens of places putting in a ton of different offers and just getting the same result over and over and over again. So hopefully after watching this video, you can take some of these little tips away and hopefully come out on top in your next offer situation. So the first point I'm going to go over, and it's more of a question, and it's, are you tracking your data? There is a lot of information you can collect both before and after seeing a property and offering on it. So make sure that you're getting as much of that information as possible. If you're already working with a realtor, make sure that they are getting as much information, pulling as many comps as they can to get the most accurate information and value of what that property you're going to be offering on is, as well as afterwards. There's a ton of things afterwards that you can do that a lot of people kind of overlook or don't ask either the listing agent or their own realtor to do to help them out in the process. And one of those big things to do is figure out where you placed in the offer amongst all the offers on the property, assuming you were in a multiple offer situation. So for example, if you're offering on a house, and in this market, it's not uncommon to see, around 10 offers on a property. So you've put in what you felt is fair value for that property, your best offer for that specific property, and you didn't get it, unfortunately. What you're going to want to do is get your realtor to reach out to the listing agent and get some information from that listing agent. They may not be able to specifically tell you exactly what the other offers were, how far you were away from the overall winning offer. You'll know obviously once that price is released, but if you're kind of in the middle of the pack, you won't know exactly who and how far was around you. But what you can do, and a lot of the times what the list agent will provide, is your ranking in the final offer situation. So if there were 10 offers on that property and you ranked number 7, figure out once that price is released and you know how much that final value was. If you're not far off, and that means everybody was kind of really closely bunched in the pack. There wasn't a lot of difference there, so you're probably not too far off. But if you're number 7 and you're $40,000, $50,000 away from the final sale price of that property, means you have a little bit of work to do on your end. And that involves you talking to your realtor, figuring out exactly where you went wrong on that offer. Maybe it was a personal decision. You felt that the property wasn't worth that to you. Maybe it was not pulling the right comps, what I talked about earlier. Your realtor didn't give you the correct information in that regards. But what you got to do is figure out where there is room for improvement. So if you were $40,000 off, the next time you're probably, if you're still looking in the same bracket, going to have to bump up your offer a little bit more. Even if you don't think that property is worth that amount of money, the market is going to dictate the value. So if you're looking in a specific bracket for specific features and so forth on a home, that's what that home is going to be worth. Ultimately, the market doesn't really care about what you think it's worth. It ultimately is dictated by everybody else that is offering on that property. So make sure you're tracking this data. If you finished, 8th in your first offer that you put in, which is pretty common, you're going to probably finish towards the bottom of the pile unless you're going really competitive off the bat. Maybe you want to make sure that you're at least moving up that ladder each time that you're offering, moving up a few positions, because that means you're on the right track for eventually getting a winning offer. So the next thing, and along with tracking all that data, what you're going to want to do is look at all the important key aspects of the offer that you are presenting. You want to make sure that all of those editable sections of that offer that you're putting forward are going to be in the best possible situation for that seller, given the market that we're in, so that you put your offer on the top of that pile at the end of the day. So going through them, and first and foremost, the biggest one that the most weight is probably going to be put on is going to be the price. And this goes back to your realtor pulling comps, what the house is probably going to go for, what it's worth, and making sure that your offer and your offer price is the best that you can do for your budget and what you're looking to do with what you're looking to purchase. Second one's going to be closing date. Closing date is a pretty big one for sellers, especially in this market. Usually sellers have already purchased another house, so they do have a move-in date for their other house that they're going to move into. So on your side of things, you are definitely going to want to line up as close as possible with their ideal closing date to give yourself the best chance possible. If they're asking for, if they're flexible in their closing, or they're asking for an immediate closing, that means you're going to want to put as short a closing as possible to strengthen your offer. Next up is going to be conditions, and this comes at the very end of the offer and includes all those things in the most common ones as an inspection as well as financing. So while a lot of people will still highly suggest putting in both inspection and financing conditions into there, it is really good practice to have them in there, but in this market, unfortunately, there's not a lot of room for offers with those conditions. So you're going to want to make sure you have all your financing taken care of before even going into the offer process, and you're doing your due diligence, and your realtor is doing their due diligence, going through the house and making sure that there's no big red flags. Sometimes, given this market, you might need to eat some big costs and some big expenditures, or some things that may pop up in the future because you're not going to be aware of them. But unfortunately, that's just the reality of the market that we're in right now. Next up, and this one will matter a little bit, it might separate you if you're very close to the very top with another offer, and it's your deposit. So your deposit is an amount of money that you submit to that seller within 24 hours after an accepted offer, and it's basically earnest money deposit. So if you were to back out of that deal after submitting that deposit for any non-valid reason, you would not get that deposit back. So the more you put down, the more incentive you have to close on that property, and the safer the seller is going to feel with your offer and not worrying about you backing out at the last minute. So make sure, if they're asking for a $10,000 deposit, which is pretty common these days, maybe you're putting a little bit more on the table, maybe 15, maybe 20,000 if you can afford it, just to strengthen your offer at the end of the day if you do fall pretty close to that next offer. Last thing you're going to want to consider is kind of a bio for yourself. And I know this is kind of controversial. A lot of realtors will tell you it's not worth your time. Other people swear by it. Personally, I'm one that swears by it. If you can include some sort of information about yourself with the offer, whether it be a letter or anything else about yourself that explains who you are, what you're looking to do with the house, if anything, if you're a family looking to settle down for a long term, that can go a long way with sellers. I think there was a story maybe this last year, maybe 2 years ago now, that a family actually passed up an offer for maybe $50,000 or more. I can't remember the exact amount, and took an offer, so $50,000 less than the highest bid, because they included a letter about themselves, introducing themselves, and the seller wanted to sell more to a family rather than an investor who was going to come in, rent out the place, or flip it. So I always say it's better to err on the side of caution. Submit that letter with there. The listing agent has to present all the information that you submit to them. So they do have to give that to the seller, and it's up to them at the end of the day if they want that to impact their final decision. So, and one of the last things we're going to talk about is, are you actually looking in your price range? If you're constantly being beat out, if you are starting your search at the very top of your budget and you don't have a lot of wiggle room in this market, most houses are going for well over asking. I think in my last monthly market update, I talked they were going roughly 10 to 15% over their list price. So having that buffer already in play when you're going looking at homes is definitely going to help you out when it comes offer day. If you're looking at a $500,000 house list price, and that's all you can afford, $500,000, chances are, unless it gets passed on and no offers come to the table, you're probably not going to do too well come offer day if there are 10 other offers. So if you've been at it a while, if you've been looking in the market, looking for houses, offering offer after offer after offer, and not really getting anywhere, odds are you're probably doing one of these things that I talked about over and over again, and just that's why you're not getting anywhere. Sometimes you can do all these things that I talked about and you're still not the best offer. You know, sometimes some people come and they'll throw more money than the house is actually worth, far more, and just to blow it out of the water to get that house. Maybe it's exactly perfect for them. Maybe they've been in a situation where they couldn't find a house for a while and they just want to get into something. And sometimes it's just people with deeper pockets, and there's not a lot we can do about that. We do have a lot of people coming in from the GTA into the London market, and they do tend to have a little bit deeper pockets than a lot of the locals here from the equity in their homes in the GTA. So it is tough to compete against that. But I guarantee if you do these things that I just spoke about today, eventually you're going to come up on top. And I know it can be disheartening to keep going into it, but you just got to keep going. Make sure that you're doing everything you can to give yourself the best shot. Make sure your realtor and your team's doing the best, everything they can to give you the best shot, and you will come up on top one of these days. Well, that's about it for this video. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified for all my videos that come out every week. And until my next video, take care.